Good afternoon, and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. You've got the Mike and Randy show today. Say hi to the folks, Randy.
Hey, everybody.
And we've got a good show planned for you today. We're going to do our own kind of preview of what we know about Armies of Germany, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of playing solitaire bolt action. But before we get too deep, as usual, do all the YouTube things for me, folks. Like the video, share the video with your friends, subscribe. You want to buy me a cup of coffee because my glass is empty. There you go. Go to Patreon. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Want to really support the channel, you can also buy some merch at Gator Games, GatorGamesWayX.com. And we have gaming stuff at anywhere from 10 to 15% off of MSRP. And with all the commercial out of the way, let's get on to what we really came for, and that's to talk about bolt action. So, Armies of Germany, add the stage. There we go. I'm going to blow that up a little bit for my benefit. And there you go. So, it's on the way. There's the pretty cover. And if you buy it from Bolt Action, you get a special figure. If you buy it from me, I can get you the special figure too. Just shoot me an email.
Have
So,
you?
Randy, have you given this a pretty good scrub over? I've kind of glanced at it and seen some discussion.
Yeah, I've actually talked a bit about it and looked it over. If, scroll back to the book.
Sure.
So if you look at that book, it's as big as the rule book was from version 2. It looks like.
What? Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in there for Germany.
Yeah. One of the things I think they've really taken advantage of in third edition, both with the major rule book and with these new armies of books that they're coming out, they're going to roll in a lot of the stuff that used to be special rules in some of the other books, the theater books. I think we're going to find the armies of books are going to be more value, just like the rule book is. I mean, the rule book full retail only rolled out at about 50, and that's not too shabby. I don't know what I haven't checked to see what they're retailing the armies of for, but it's not bad. Hang on just a minute.
I thought,
25 pounds. Hang on, $40. So now that's a change. The new armies of book is about the price of an old rule book, and we'll be retailing that about $34 here ourselves. So a little bit more pricey, but like Randy observed, it's a little bit bigger book. Um, all kinds of new miniatures coming out. We're going to have more Fallschirmjäger plastics coming. Gator Games is going to probably stock a couple boxes of those. Um, and of course, just the whole Fallschirmjäger dynamics getting some adjustments here. New units and new rules. What have you gleaned from this, Randy?
okay, so yeah,
What's this?
yeah, I'm gonna say we can get that a little bigger. I can't even see that. Still can't see it.
So they got the this is an armor page. They talk about
Yeah.
the Stugs, something called Panzer term. So Panther turrets that were in fixed fortifications. Sounds like
Oh,
a good waste. Yeah, yeah, that's going to be its
that.
own special brand of fun.
Yeah, maybe you do need flamethrowers if they're going to
Oh
be
yeah,
in fortifications like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. I mean, that's what flamethrowers were developed for, was taking out fixed fortifications. And the tanks themselves. I mean, as we were discussing last night offline, um, the machine guns have become a lot more powerful,
Yeah.
especially the German machine guns with their buzzsaw. So I think they talk here. They kept. It's not in this one. I must have been in another article. Um, they kept the buzzsaw rule. They improved the NCO rule. You can pick off NCOs in a German squad all day long, and all you're going to do is kill guys. And then the German officer gets that extra snap too. So your platoon officer is going to get 3 snap 2s instead of 2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be farther down. I think it's in the same article. It's just they've got a lot in this article.
They do, and credit to credit to Warlord for kind of priming the pump here. And,
Yeah.
and they're right. Hobby inspiration. I mean, I get good ideas looking at their stuff. Special figure. German mountain trooper sniper. I've always liked the German mountain troops. I think they're pretty cool.
Oh, that
And it
is,
is not here, brother.
it's not. You're on the wrong one.
Leave it to me to find the wrong article.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, there should be another article there.
Let's bring it back here.
Special rules.
There we go.
Yeah. Now we got it.
This stuff's just folks. This stuff's coming out so hot and fast. As you can tell, we're definitely reading it as it comes. So, yep, like I was saying,
Yeah.
Blitzkrieg, which is there it is. Regular and veteran German officers can take one additional order die. So it's not a German officer; it's got to be regular or veteran. So, Randy, when you're specking out a German force, taking that green officer may not be the best idea.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a good idea anyway. But
And honestly, with Germans, I always try to, well, before you didn't have a choice unless you took an SS officer. You had to take them regular. They didn't offer any experience. Now they do. But with them being able to take assault rifles, it's really worthwhile to take even a veteran 3-man German officer team with assault rifles. It's quite a bit of firepower.
at least until they start charging. What are they? 5 points apiece now.
They're
Assault
six.
rifles.
They're six.
6.
Yeah, same as the BAR.
Okay. I would submit the assault rifle is a little bit more
better.
Well, you don't get a little bit more useful.
Yeah, because
depends if you're on the move.
That move and fire.
That BAR's got that range.
Yeah.
And we're finding out that range matters.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, Hitler's buzzsaw still in play. The Blitzkrieg, regular and German officers can take one additional order die from the bag.
Yeah.
So
this is huge. I mean,
yes,
just a regular platoon commander being able to snap 3 guys is, I mean, you almost don't need the company commander, but you still got to take him. But
historically, that was kind of what the Germans did. Their platoon leaders were just incredible.
Yeah.
And they really emphasized initiative, and it made a difference several times on the battlefront. Again, talking about initiative training. So
yeah, this has changed a bunch.
This is huge.
Yeah, it is.
I think before it required a die roll, maybe.
Okay, so before you had to roll a 2-up, which was pretty much a guarantee.
Right.
However, the guy that took over the NCO had to drop his gear and pick up the gear that the NCO had. So that means it come down to my light machine gun loader or a guy holding a Panzerfaust. You had to make a decision.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to choose between the two. So you're either going to suffer that -1, or I'm going to keep what I've got. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? Now, you don't suffer the -1, and he can keep his gear. The only downside is if your NCO had an assault rifle, well, it's like, maybe I want that. But honestly, the loader for your light machine gun is probably more valuable.
Got it. Makes sense.
You don't want to pay that -1 for shooting, 5 shots.
Yeah.
And the other bonus is they not losing the morale. They're never going to lose it. They're always going to stay. So
right. Yeah, that's going to make a big difference in terms of keeping your German troops on the move. Which, with all the fire, I think one of the things we're hearing from everybody is the dropping long range fire has made machine guns much more effective.
Yeah.
I saw one blog post where even said it's almost a World War I type environment out there.
Oh yeah, like trench warfare. Yeah.
Right.
Or you just stand back and shoot at each other.
Sure. But what's the answer for the machine guns, Randy? We were talking about that last night.
Mortars.
Tanks. Yeah, mortars.
Yeah, because the machine gun can't hurt a tank. So if you push up, your infantry can run behind your tanks for hard cover. And that's kind of where the LVT might actually work out pretty good because it's so big, you can hide a lot of guys behind it. And you can hide guys in it.
You can. Right.
You can
only disadvantage is you'll pick up pins from being open top.
pins. But if your company commander is walking behind it out of sight, that's +4. Like, I don't care how many pins I got.
Yeah, because again, no matter how many pins you have, you're only going to get 1 -1 to your shooting.
Yeah.
So the new bolt action is absolutely much bloodier, and folks, you can take a bunch of armor, but like we were talking about last night, you're gonna have to pad these infantry teams out.
Yeah.
So Tiger Fear's gone, which is great because I think everybody agreed it just didn't work well.
Yeah.
Now what we have is what's called a Panzer Ace.
Yeah. This is kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the only
And
downside is you have to take a veteran tank, but
yep.
that's not a bad thing because you can ignore pins from hits that can't cause damage.
Yeah.
So if you take the veteran, now you can take this, and the main gun receives an additional +1 pin, so everything jumps up
And
in damage.
and
And then
+1 modifier when rolling on the table.
yeah, so that means it's always going to do something nasty, no matter what. Unless you roll a 1, which 1 is always nothing. If you roll a 1
I
on
never
damage,
roll ones.
you don't. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it looks like the Germans are getting some pretty
They've got the
pretty
best
good
rules
boosts.
in the game. Their special rules, at least from what I've seen, are the best.
So far.
It makes me almost want to run Germans, and it itches me to try to say that.
Well, I know where you can get more German stuff. Just saying.
Well, I've got a bunch. I got a bunch of it. It's only ever been, my punching bag when I play a game. I put them out there to beat up on. But
yeah, I've got that Fallschirmjäger unit. I really need to reinforce it with some standard riflemen because it gets pricey quick with all the assault rifles I initially built it with.
Yeah, I've got a whole squad of assault rifle Fallschirmjägers.
Yeah,
that was the first.
I've got one of those, and then I've got assault rifles just sprinkled throughout the platoon.
I tell you, who's better than the Fallschirmjägers though?
Who's that?
Veteran Grenadiers, because you can take as many assault rifles just like the Fallschirmjägers, but you're not paying that point for being stubborn, which really isn't going to matter much unless you take a massive hit from a howitzer and lose half your guys. It's really not going to matter. So that you're paying a little less and you're getting the same result.
Yeah, and that's the key thing of, especially if you're playing tournament, is economy of force.
Yeah.
And just a sidestep, I mean, the game still is really, really good for themed games. Like I've got a scenario from Squad Leader. I had to mention it. I can't let a video go by without it, right? Called Hedgehog of Fifth, where the Germans are dug in defending a building, defending a village with just a butt ton of machine guns. And the Russians have like one medium and the rest is infantry. So before, that really would have been a hard scenario to mirror. Now, I think you can, with how those machine guns can reach out. Like we said in the first reveal, we have made machine guns great again, and definitely going to take some skill to assault those machine guns. So, got another set of special rules here. Gonna blow this up. Defend the fatherland. So you can add. Looks like fanatic.
So the way I'm reading this is you can add any of these special unit abilities to any of your squads.
Right.
Which is kind of strange, that you can give regular Germans Fallschirmjäger rules. I'd be anxious to see the book and actually read this in depth and see what it really means.
And I think what we're looking at there is for those guys that say, let's say they built a Panzer Grenadier unit and they want to play them as paratroopers, which you and I would have just been like, okay, so buy paratroopers and tell me they're paratroopers. This kind of allows you to, it kind of formally acknowledges that okay, you can proxy this German unit as Fallschirmjäger, Waffen. Yeah.
So I just had a thought on that, and only the Germans would get away with this. So you don't have any Fallschirmjägers, so you take up a bunch of grenadiers, put them in a plane, they strap a parachute on them and kick them out the door and say, okay, now you're paratroopers. Don't forget
That
to
sounds
pull the
like more
cord.
something like the Russians would do.
Yeah.
Pull the cord. Actually, they didn't have to pull the cord. You remember
Right, because it's
that
it's
rip?
hooked. Yeah, they
Yeah,
hook it
static
up.
line,
Yeah,
which is even better.
and that, you know why they did that, right? Just in case going out the plane, you hit your head on the plane and knocked yourself out, it automatically pulls your chute, and at least you coast to the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just going to go boom, and you're going to be a mud
Figured
splat.
too. It was in case somebody froze up.
Yeah, that could
And
happen
didn't.
too. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I probably would do it. I don't know.
I don't know. You got pretty good ice water in your veins. So, but yeah, so you can do mixed quality, which looks pretty interesting on the Waffen SS. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Waffen SS can be taken as inexperienced. And the Waffen units are kind of interesting because they can represent anybody from not Germans. So they could be Spanish, French. I mean, you can
Yeah,
do some
because
really
they conscripted a lot of people and threw them in at Waffen SS units.
right, right. Well, and a lot of people volunteered. I mean, there was even a couple of Muslim Waffen SS units. I mean, people just
Wow.
they came from all over to fight on the side of Germany against Great Britain and other things. So, and then the Graberjäger, that's always been one. If you're going to model them, it's usually with those soft hats, and I think like a really dark green uniform. But they, of course, and the other thing that's recognizes too is that in just about all the forces, the kit didn't always represent the unit. Especially once you've been in theater for a while, you might have a German mountain unit. I can never say that right, Gabersjäger or something like that. Anyway, German mountain unit that's using Panzer Grenadier kit because
It's
that's what they have
probably
access to.
pronounced Gaberjägers. Gaberjäger.
Gabersjäger.
Gaberjäger. I'm thinking just because I know a little bit of German, but
Yeah.
that's probably how that E is pronounced as Gaberjäger. The S is probably silent.
Boy. Any artillery units can be upgraded to mountain guns, but you've got to take gun shields off. Thank you.
Yeah, but that means they can move that artillery piece through rough ground.
Right.
Which you can't do. So that's huge. You could put it in in hard rubble and then if you get zeroed in by a mortar, you can just move it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. Your crew's a little bit more vulnerable overall, but the gun has a little bit more flexibility where you can put it.
Not
because
really.
you lose the gun shield save. Right now you get a gun shield save from the front.
But if you're in hard cover, you're going to get a hard cover save. The gun shield save is only a soft cover save. So even if you put it in woods, it's still the same. You're getting a soft cover.
Got it. Save. Okay. Wow. That is potent.
It's nice.
Yeah. So just like the core rule book, when this comes out, if you're a German player, scrub this list, man. It's gonna matter.
Yep.
All right. What else we got? So there it is. There's the book. You can order it. You can get the free sniper figure, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, yes. Cool.
We're all looking forward to see it on the table. There is some discussion as to which books will be used at Warfare Atlanta. What is that?
Warzone Atlanta.
Warzone Atlanta. There's some discussion now because I think the German will be the first book out. There may be a second one out by February when they have that event, but we'll have to wait and see.
So the Germany book will be out January 31st. So Warzone is the 8th. So they're wanting a list 2 weeks before. So that means you won't have, the only thing you'll have are these intel briefings and what's in them. But I got a feeling they're not going to use any of those because it means that only the Germans are going to get a few special rules and nobody else can get anything.
Yeah, and John Ross usually runs a very balanced tournament, and he's gonna, I'm sure, not want one more complication. He's got enough. Just honestly, having run my first 3rd edition tournament, I can tell you, all the things you already have to weigh without trying to weigh whether or not to use a new rule book and what rules to allow in plays. Yeah, you don't need that complication.
Yeah.
So there's that. And Randy's gonna be playing in a tournament next weekend, aren't you?
Yeah. Next Sunday. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
called
So
the
I'll be
Fall Offensive.
fall offensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look for that on Facebook. It's pretty much just been posted there.
Yeah.
Next
The
year we're going to try and
Ocala
get that
Garrison.
out.
It's on
Do
the
what?
Ocala. It's in the Ocala Garrison and
Right.
Florida Bolt Action, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also in the Pulaski's Guard group. I've shared the bolt action
Yeah.
events
Yeah.
there.
Because we've
Yeah.
shared
So
it around.
yeah, it's all over. It's all over Facebook. Next year, we're hoping to actually have a website for the thing and actually get on the other social media. So I'm actually Gator Games and Books is going to be there. We were approached about being a vendor, so I'm going to be there the whole weekend.
Oh, cool.
That kind of torpedoes my Alpha
Alpha
Strike tournament,
Strike.
but
Yeah. That means you don't. Well, yeah.
yeah. So one of the things Randy's doing is he's doing a solo playthrough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think every one of us sometimes has had to do this either to test out new rules or I was telling Randy before we went live, there's times when I like to play solitaire, just to kind of, have the flow of the game or test out a particular flow of the game. And so Randy, good looking table as always.
Thanks.
And what's your plan here?
Okay, so what it is, we're going to have some Americans and British, and what has happened was after D-Day, these guys were having a drink in the pub, and they were arguing about who did the best on D-Day, and so they decided to fight it out. So the pub you can't see is over on the right. It's a little cafe pub, but I've got the Army Americans that I'm going to play at the tournament, and I cooked up a British list to confront them. And this is
That's
the
your British, right?
yeah. So British list here. You've got you got a Piat team here
Wow.
at the bottom left.
All right.
And then inexperienced platoon commander, and then I've got 4 squads of veteran infantry. They are 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 men each, and they each have a light machine gun at the back. I've got Chindits here in this one, but they're just veteran infantry. And then I've got my Indian squad. And then right in front of the Indian squad, there is a company commander, inexperienced. And let's see, that rounds out the rifle platoon. And then we have a heavy weapons platoon here with an inexperienced platoon commander. They have a medium machine gun. I have a medium mortar, and then a anti-tank rifle, and the mortar has a spotter. And then we move over to the recce platoon. So I have a inexperienced platoon commander for the recce platoon, and there is 7 commandos with submachine guns. They all have submachine guns. So that should be a nice little firepower unit. And then the reason I took the recce platoon here is so that the LVT and the scout are in this platoon, given the recce rule for 10 points. But I'm going to use the LVT over in the rifle platoon to push up some infantry and the company commander in it. And also the Piat will be in it, so he can jump out from the LVT. And then
you're saying the LVT also gets the recon rule because it's part of the recon platoon?
Yep.
That's just nasty.
Yeah, you don't have to use it for the guys that are in the recon platoon. So that's
true.
kind of a quirk in the rules. I don't know if they'll ever FAQ that. They might. But then you got the scout, and then that will be for the commandos. So the commandos will ride in the scout, and so I got 7 commandos.
That's
and
this
then,
thing here. That's an M3 scout car.
Yep.
It's not a half track.
No, it's not a half track.
Okay.
So it's a little faster, which is what I want. I want to be able to zip up with these guys and let them jump out. So there'll be 7 guys plus the officer in there, which I bought the inexperienced, but his officer buff will negate that. And that's why there's 7 and 1. So that's 8 dudes riding in this scout car.
Okay.
Yep. And then the armored platoon is 2 Crusaders. Just, I don't know what you can't say about it. They're just great. So gonna have to deal with that. Yeah.
And those are both twin heavy autocannon?
No, they're light. Yeah, that would
Twin
be
light.
just, yeah, I wish they were. They have a single heavy autocannon, but it's open top.
Right.
But these are closed top.
Okay.
So
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
this little pocket in the back is just where
Yeah.
a guy sits, but they don't have to see in the turret. They can elevate this gun, and I think they use some kind of optic or something to fire their flak.
Okay.
But yeah.
So somebody's gonna be catching flack.
Yeah, so there's somebody riding back there, but they can't even get inside the tank. That's
Wow.
just a little place for somebody to sit and duck down if they get shot at.
Probably in reality was probably the place for a coordinator to sit to coordinate between the vehicle and an infantry platoon.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right. Now
And here's the Americans.
Americans. All right. So this is the army I'm taking. So I have 4 squads of Rangers. They're all
Lead the way.
Yep. They all have lead the way. The first 2 have a BAR. The second 2 have, you can see these unpainted guys in the back. They are light machine guns.
Okay.
So I'm going to try those out and see if that extra firepower helps me out with the Rangers. Okay. And then they have an inexperienced platoon commander. And then over a little farther to the right, you see this guy with binoculars. That is my captain, and he will be the company commander. He's inexperienced. Okay. Behind him is a medic. Haven't been painted yet. Then I have a bazooka team and a sniper team. So I'm going to give the sniper team a try.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we move on to actually it's a recce platoon over here because I didn't give. Did I do that? I think I did. So there's 5 guys here. They're veteran infantry, and I think I was able to take all. Let me think. Okay, no, not submachine guns. So there's 4 riflemen and 1 light machine gun. These are regular airborne.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't. All right. So the main reason I took the recce platoon here is because you only have 1 mandatory infantry, and so I could only take 4 in the main one, and I didn't want to take another one because it would cut down some of my other units. So I took it as a recce platoon. I didn't add the recce to the scout because the scout's really just going to sit in the middle with my company commander and my bazooka team inside of it. And yeah, and then if the opportunity presents itself, I can always push up with the scout and jump the bazooka team out to kill something. And then over to the right farther is artillery platoon. You only have 1 mandatory gun for that, so I have a heavy autocannon, Bofors.
So artillery platoon only requires 1 gun?
Only 1. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And part of the problem with this tournament is it's a 17 dice cap. So I couldn't get a lot of the things I would normally bring, like maybe a few light mortars or some other stuff, because I only had so many dice to work with. So,
okay.
Yeah. And then
I saw you guys on Moxie talking about that.
Yeah. And then the scout car is in the I think it's in the recce. Maybe it is in the recce platoon. It might be. I'll have to look at my list, but then I have to give it the 10 points for the recce, which is still good. Because if somebody runs a dog mine at your vehicle with your company commander in it, you want to get out of the way of it.
Right.
So, and then I have an armored platoon with 2 Stuarts and an M16 with 4 heavy machine guns.
Nasty.
Yeah. It did. I played a game with it here a few days ago or last weekend, and it did a lot. It killed a lot of infantry.
It does.
It won't wipe out a squad, but it will put a hurt on them.
Wow.
You won't stand in
But
front
you
of
don't
it
have
too
to wipe
long.
it out. You just got to cut it by half and make them take a morale check.
You probably won't do that either with cover saves
Okay.
unless you catch them in the
Right.
open. But it's going to hurt them. You won't want to be in front of it for more than a couple turns, or you won't be there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
And the beauty of it is the 48-inch range means I don't have to be in rifle range, so I don't get pinned down. I can stay out
Right.
and just shoot at them, and there's nothing
Yeah.
you can do about it.
Machine
Unless,
guns can give you some trouble, but they're not going to out. Well, I say that a heavy machine gun could reach out and touch
heavy,
you.
the heavy
Medium's going
wood.
to have to move into your fire envelope.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
And the problem with that is with Rangers, they're able to push up into the middle of the board pretty easily. So if you try to move up and get in range to do something to this M16, these Rangers are going to be right there just chewing you up.
Have your infantry out as a screen.
Yeah.
All right. So I got to ask you, you are going to have all this painted by next weekend, right?
Yeah. So I've got to, if I keep the medic, probably will. I want to see how well it works with all this veteran infantry.
Right.
And also the medic's going to go in the scout too, because his bubble also works out from the edge of the vehicle. So
Any specialist does. Yeah.
It'll extend his range slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what does the medic do again in version 3?
Okay. So if somebody takes a wound from a small arms fire and they're within 6 inches of the medic, you roll a D6, and then on a 6, you save the wound and the guy stays alive. So
okay,
it's not likely, but when you got veteran infantry, he's another dice in the bag, and it doesn't take long to, if you get a couple saves during the game, he's brought his points back. And
okay.
And with squad sizes being kind of marginal here, the 7 men, if I can save a guy, that's going to be huge.
Sure.
If I had 10-man squad, it's like, I probably wouldn't bring him.
Right.
It's like I can take a few casualties, but here I want to try to save everybody I can.
I just don't roll 6s well enough to even try that. Oh, you use 6? Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, give me 10 dice. I'll roll a 6. Give me 1 dice.
Good luck with that. Yeah, you can give me 10 dice. I'll roll all 1s. You've seen it happen.
Yeah.
These both look like good lists, Randy. And again, I think the advantage of playing Solitaire is you can really walk yourself through both the rules, because we're all still learning the version 3 rules. You can kind of test out different tactics. You can, as Steve Jackson says in his book, War Game Design, you can play test the dumb strategies. Okay, this is worst case. What if I do this? What's the worst that could happen? What if my opponent does something wacky, crazy, like, I don't know, charges down the middle of the board? What's his likelihood of success? So that's really good. I think you said you're going to try and get some pictures or videos of this.
Yeah, so this video will probably out before I start. So tonight at 6, hopefully 6, I'm going to try to post it live on my YouTube channel at Bolt Action 1944. And I don't have the greatest equipment right now, so it's just going to be an overhead camera with a terrible mic. But it'll be there for people who want to check out. Maybe they want to pop in for a little while and watch it. And so the other thing too is it's like when you're playing yourself, of course, you got to be hard on yourself. I mean, you got to look at both sides and how would I play this side if I was playing the other side, right? But it also allows you to, I've got my list that I'm going to play. How do I beat it? So when I get on the other side of the table and look at it, I can see what my opponent might really actually try to do to me. And maybe I can be prepared for that.
One way I've seen players do Solitaire would be to give written orders to your units and attempt to carry them out.
Yeah.
Honestly, just like the 2 platoons would. You could take that down to the squad level. It'd probably take you an hour or 2 to really write out, okay, I want you to seize this and then move on this. You've got 17 dice, so 34 units you'd have to write orders for. That could take some time. Yeah. But it might be interesting. So just something to kind of mentally think about. Do you have a scenario in mind that you're going to play?
I'm going to roll it up. So
Okay.
maybe I'm going to hopefully lean toward the objectives because I think we're going to see a lot of objective based scenarios in version 3.
Yeah. The consensus is among players that generally objective-based scenarios seem to be the most balanced
Yeah.
against with random forces. So, other than maybe table quarters, that one seems to be pretty balanced, and you see that one a lot.
I saw something. Well, so World Open War, all their tables had their own scenarios. So
Right,
when you played on a table, there was a scenario set for that table.
right,
And objectives were placed by the TO. So one of the things about objectives now is because of having to cross the table, under fire, guys tend to want
right.
to sit back and shoot. So if players are putting down objectives and you've got an odd number of objectives, an odd number, uh,
Yep.
and I get the first one, I have a huge advantage because now I can place more objectives on my side of the table than you can place on your side. And you have to come get one of those objectives to have a chance to win.
We've all seen it done or
Yeah.
done it. Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah.
in V2. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
V2
like
wasn't so
the idea
bad
of
because
having, go ahead.
yeah, well, in V2 you had assault units, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. I mean, if somebody's got objectives, I got Gurkhas, I'm coming to get it. But now
That's
I,
true.
I can't just push across the table. I'll be shot to pieces by the time I get there. And then if I survive, in a couple turns, I'll be gone anyway. So
Oh, and we talked about something else too in terms of objectives. Major change to objectives.
yes,
Two major changes in version 3. One, an objective has been defined as a 25 millimeter circle. Um, so that's really interesting. And then the other thing is, once your infantry unit or artillery unit captures that objective, it's yours
yep,
until your opponent brings an infantry unit to capture it. However, an armor unit can challenge you for that objective. They can't capture it, but they
no,
can keep you from counting it as being held.
nope, nope.
Correct?
So, all right. So I got an infantry unit. I capture an objective. You're supposed to
Yep.
place a chit on it or have sides on the objective that says, okay, this is an American objective now.
Right.
I can park it. So a tank can only prevent, in order to capture an objective, there has to be no enemy units within 3 inches when you capture it.
Right.
So a tank can't do it. But if I capture it and and I park one of my tanks there and I run away, the enemy has to kill that tank in order to take that objective back.
So again, I think we've always had challenged objectives, but I really like this, and I've seen it in other games where once you clear an objective, it stays clear. So what that's going to do is, before you'd have to leave a unit to quote unquote secure that objective, and so as you captured objectives, your force got weaker. Now you just got to make sure you keep, to your point, an armored unit or a machine gun unit to cover it to pin somebody down trying to get to you. So yeah, it's definitely. I think players are going to really enjoy it. I think it's going to make for a more, again, fluid and dynamic game, which seems to be, that's always been the objective of version 3 right out the gate, is have a game where people are encouraged and even required to move. So,
Yeah.
the counter is you got long range weapons. The challenge is you've got to move, you've got to get on those objectives.
So to that point, the game I played the other day was I had my Rangers, and the other army was Germans, lots of machine guns. They were a really tough force, but the Rangers get that free move. And the scenario I rolled up was hold until relieved.
Okay.
So that one is a central objective, and it says it can be a house or anything. It has to be in the center of the board. So my Rangers were able to capture that before the Germans could possibly get there.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
in order for them to get it back, they have to kill off everything that I've parked near this objective. They have to come get it. They can't just sit back and shoot because I just keep going down. Had a squad of Rangers in the house go down. That means
Right.
down, hard cover. You need a 2 up. I say whatever you shoot
save?
at. Yeah, yeah. and their mortars were, I think they had, I don't think so. I used John Connor's force. He didn't have any mortars. He had autocannons. He had a spam
Okay.
of autocannons, but just couldn't do it. There's no way you can get it back because I've have so many units around there. You have to clear them all off. Once I capture it, to get it back, you have to clear them all out from 3 inches, and there's just no way you can do it. Especially with 2 tanks and an M16 sitting there parked at the edge of, pretty close to the edge of the board. Just, I mean, just shooting out shots every turn and everything that tries to get close.
Right. Okay. Cool. I am absolutely looking forward to your after action report on that. In addition to you doing the video tonight, we'll probably do a brief. Our video next week will recap your playtest tonight, and then we'll recap the tournament too, because you're going to be going to the tournament.
Yeah.
And talk about how that went, and and thoughts.
Yeah.
Really big tip of the hat. This is the first tournament that Ocala Garrison's put on. I know it's their first version 3 tournament.
Yeah, it is. I think they've had a tournament before. I don't know if they held the East, or the, what is it called, the West Coast Championship or something down
East. We're on the East Coast.
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, they called it like the East Coast Challenge or something. Some people got a little tiffy about that. Well, you're not the only ones on the East Coast. Well, we're the only ones doing this right now. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, hey, we wouldn't be gamers if we didn't, exaggerate just a little bit. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a great event. It's actually, again, if you get a chance to go to Ocala, Florida, it's this weekend, the 8th and 9th. It's at the agricultural fair or something like that. Find it on Facebook. It's not just bolt action. It's not just tournaments. There's a lot of named demo games being played. So it's essentially a 2-day convention. So if you got a chance to go, throw everybody in the car and come on. You'll get to meet me, get to meet Randy. You'll find out we're even worse in person than we are on camera. It's great. But yeah, so if you get a chance to go, I think it's worth going to. And I think that's all we have for this week, man. We're going to as you can tell, we'll be keeping our eyes on the releases. Randy's going to continue playtesting the different armies and make it harder and harder for me to beat him when I play him. Dang it.
That's what I got to do.
Randy, before we sign off, anything for the good in general?
Maybe next podcast we'll talk about light mortar spam.
Sounds like a plan. I know that showed up at World at War, and
it did.
Where Bo Mortensen was talking about that.
It could be a thing.
Oh boy, lots and lots of mortars. Yeah, a lot of spam, a lot of different kinds of spam in these lists. I think honestly, what we're going to find out eventually is that the combined arms approach is going to yield the best results. But it's fun to watch people try different spams. So there we go. Again, Gator Games or Gator's Garage, sponsored by Gator Games out of Savannah, Georgia. We will have links to our Patreon and our web store in the notes below, and a link to the Facebook event that's being hosted this weekend. If you got anything you'd like to see us cover, our email address will be there too. If you got anything you'd like to see us cover, drop us a note. What you got, Randy?
Yeah, so we only got one response so far, but me and Mike are going to try to do a broadcast with a game between me and him. So we had one person want to see, what was it, British
and Germans.
And Germans, yeah. So let us know if you want to see what armies you'd like to see on the table, or any special unit you want to see.
Right.
We'll try to accommodate.
Yeah, Randy and I both have Americans, British, and Germans, so we can kind of field any number of directions there. Sorry, no Soviets or Italians it's all Western Front with us right now. So,
oh boy.
But there you go. But yeah, if you want to see a special unit on the table, you want to see if you want to see the U.S. versus Germans, let us know. And just keep your eyes on the channel. We'll continue to bring you bolt action news as well as other gaming news. And with that being said, this is Gator's Garage signing off. Y'all have a good weekend.
Over and out.